Good evening, everybody. Sorry for the late posting here. Apparently, I can't do live streams on YouTube yet, so I'm going to post this live to Facebook, and then once I'm done, I'm going to download it to my phone and upload it to YouTube, so all of the YouTube channel subscribers can see what I've said tonight. So the whole purpose of me wanting to do a live on YouTube was that there's a lot of people on there that are asking the same questions over and over and over. They're questions that I've answered in posts on Facebook, on live streams on Facebook, but I guess they may not reach YouTube people, the YouTube world, so I'm going to answer them here. I guess I'll start at the beginning. So my name is Chris Scott. I am the owner of the Whistle Stop Cafe in Mirror, Alberta. Prior to that, I spent just about 20 years in the Canadian oil patch, which was awesome. I loved it. I loved the energy sector, everything about it. It was a great career. But after 20 years, it was time for a change. And the previous owner of the Whistle Stop, who I still am friends with to this day, she wanted out, and I thought, you know what, that sounds kind of fun. It'd be a great change. So we made an agreement, and I leased to purchase the place from her. And it was awesome. I found out that I really do enjoy the hospitality industry. I love cooking. I love serving people. I love seeing the smiles on their face when they have a meal that they really enjoy. And part of that is because those 20 years in the oil patch, I was on the road a lot, and so I ate out a lot. And I know what I want when I go out to eat. Eating for me is it's one of the few things in life where you can have this awesome experience, and you're just so happy after because everything was great. And that's what we at the Whistle Stop want to give our customers. So, off the rigs into a restaurant right before COVID. Great idea, Chris. Awesome. But anyway, bygones. So, running a restaurant is always, I don't know if I want to say a struggle, but it's not easy for anybody. The restaurants, historically, I think they say only 30% of restaurants last past their first 3 years. So 70% of restaurants that start fail within the first 3 years, which is a crazy number. And there's reasons for that. We're not going to get into it. But really, it's a tough gig. So I've got this restaurant. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. And now comes COVID. With an established business, it's a tough thing to have to close your dining room and not be able to serve your customers. And I wasn't very experienced in the industry. So COVID coupled with I was within my first 2 years of business, and B, I'm not or wasn't a professional restaurateur. I didn't know all the little tips and tricks on how to keep my costs down and keep my margins up. So it was a tough gig. But we got through that first 2 weeks. And if you guys want, you can actually go back on our Facebook page. All of my live streams are still up, or they should be. All of my posts are for sure still up. So if you want to know, kind of how I was feeling at the time when COVID first reared its ugly, ridiculous head, it's all there. But I'll tell you in a nutshell, me and my staff, my family, we were all worried, just like everybody else was, because this is a super deadly pandemic and we're all going to die if we don't stop it. So 2 weeks, whatever, I guess we'll figure it out. So we did the 2 weeks, which of course turned into longer than 2 weeks, but that doesn't matter. By the time fall rolled around, we had done some things to improve our business. There's a lot of people out there saying that I was lazy and I didn't try. Well, we didn't do anything to try and adjust to the new normal. But that's an outright lie. The first thing we did, and actually my first headbutting with AHS, was when we started doing drive-in movies at our restaurant. Now, you can go back and see, I don't know if I was the first person in Alberta to start doing drive-ins again, but I know we were one of the first for sure. And we didn't do it because we thought we were going to make much money. I did the drive-in movie thing because we had customers coming in, and they were talking about how, we're a gas station as well, just so you know, and a convenience store. And they were talking about how it was so hard on their families to be stuck in the house with nothing to do, couldn't go to the movies, couldn't go to the mall. They couldn't do anything together. They're just stuck. And it was really hard on people. So I don't know where this idea for a drive-in movie theater came, but I ended up buying a inflatable movie screen, and I put it on the roof of my cafe. I bought a little FM transmitter off Amazon and looked into movie licensing, and we just started doing it. We didn't do it because we wanted to sell tickets or anything. We did it because we wanted to give our community something to do where they could at least have some sort of normal, but we're still following the rules. And it was a huge hit. It was ridiculously busy. I remember going outside at one point. I was cooking, and I went outside, and I looked around, and I thought to myself, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to jail," because we were still in a lockdown, and there was probably 100 cars in my parking lot to watch this little 10 by 14 drive-in movie screen. But didn't go to jail. We kept going. We improved it, and partway through, AHS decided that drive-in movies were unsafe, and we went to battle. My thing was, why are we allowed to go to big box stores? Why are we allowed to park at Walmart with hundreds of other people, but we can't be parked in my parking lot 6 feet apart enjoying a movie? Everyone's talking about their mental health situation, and this is helping people, so what's the problem? And they didn't want to budge, so we took to Facebook. And our Facebook following went from, I think we had about, I don't know, maybe 100 or 200 followers on our Facebook page. It went to somewhere around 4,000 within a few weeks. And those people that watched what we were doing, they made some noise, they wrote emails, they sent letters, they phoned our MLA, our MP, AHS, government officials, whoever they could get to listen to them, they were talking to them. And AHS phoned me one day and they said, "Okay, well, we've actually wrote a new set of rules for you and your cafe so that you can keep doing these drive-in movies." I didn't like all the rules, but we followed them anyway, and we kept going. So that was really the first big thing that we did to try and do something different for our business to get us through COVID. The next thing, of course, was similar to what a lot of other restaurants did. I just ate a mosquito. Pardon me. We started doing a lot of prepared and frozen meals. So we kept our staff, and pardon me, he's still in there. Oh, wow. So we kept our staff, and the idea was, if we could turn out enough pies and baked goods and frozen meals that people could just take home, put in their fridge, they don't have to go to the grocery store, so that alleviates part of their issues. We could still get our awesome food into their homes, and they could enjoy it even though they couldn't have it in our dining room. So that was something we did, and it was a it was a pretty big success. We sold a lot of takeout meals, but it's still nothing like having a dining room open. Little cafes like mine and thousands of others around Alberta, we don't survive on meals per se. It's beverages, coffees, pops, those beer, that kind of stuff. That's where we actually make enough money to pay our bills, is on beverages, as is with most restaurants, I would think. So it hurt, but we got through it, and we started doing more with the drive-in movie screen. At this point, we had a big following, so we had a lot of people come out. We started doing some small events, some car shows. We did all sorts of stuff, and if you want to know about that, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but just go back to our Facebook page and have a look at some of the stuff we did. We had a lot of fun, and we did a lot of cool stuff. So then winter rolls around. We're back into December, and Premier Kenny is telling us that, he's so sorry, he made a mistake. They shouldn't have decided which businesses live or die. They shouldn't have been talking about who was essential and who wasn't, and they're not going to do that again because we're all essential. We all know how that went. 7 days later, we're locked down again. In winter, it was December, I think it was 12th or something like that. December, January, February, and into March are extremely difficult on restaurants, especially places like mine that depend on highway traffic. So not only are we in a difficult time of the year, and we had just been through a difficult year, but now we're locked down again. And I had a conversation with my sister at one point, and we said, why don't we just open? This is ridiculous. Well, it's not what they said it was. We've seen that. The statistics are there. What are these people trying to do to us? And I said, you know what? No, let's just, we'll get through it. Went back to takeout. We cleared out our entire dining room and turned it into some storage area and some places to put meals together and stuff like that. We did a lot of work. And I thought to myself, if this happens again, like if they move the goalposts again and tell us after, I think January 12th or something was supposed to be the day, or maybe the 19th, I can't remember. I'm going to open, because this is bullshit. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to let my business be destroyed because of bad government policy and fear mongering. Well, they did move the goalposts again. And Dina Hinshaw said that there was no end in sight for the restrictions, that they didn't know when they were going to open us back up. And that was the last straw for me. That was the last straw for my staff. And I talked to my staff. I talked to the owner of the property, and I said, listen, this is what I want to do. I'm going to open this place in protest of this bad policy that's hurting everybody in Alberta and all across Canada. I didn't know if people were going to react well to it. I didn't know if they were going to support us, but that's what I knew was the right thing to do in my heart. So we opened. And it was so busy that we had so much support. We sold out of stuff like every day. We would sell out of burgers. We ran out of chicken strips. We ran out of everything. Fries, potatoes, you name it. We sold so much food in that time. And we had so much support from people all over the province. It blew me away. The media started giving us attention. All sorts of people picked up on the story, and it went global. The Whistle Stop Cafe in Muir, Alberta, has been mentioned in news outlets around the world and all across Canada. And we're from a town of 500 people, and we're normally a pretty quiet little place. Now all of a sudden, all eyes are on the Whistle Stop Cafe because we're saying enough is enough. We're not going to do this anymore, and you, our government, you need to be accountable to us, and you need to justify what you're doing. You need to justify your infringements on our rights and freedoms. You need to justify your restrictions, and you should have done it before you restricted us, as the Constitution demands. Since then, I found out that we have, as our provincial legislators, have enacted laws that say they don't have to do that. They have enacted laws that say they don't have to provide the evidence. They don't have to justify it until after. Like, we have to force them to prove it, not the other way around, as the Constitution demands. So I'm here to tell you right now that no matter if you agree with me or disagree with me, you're vaccinated, not vaccinated, you're wearing a mask, you're not wearing a mask, you have the opportunity to look into this, and you will see that our Public Health Act is absolutely 100% unconstitutional. And no, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm telling you, please look into that and look at it with an open mind and try and understand what I'm saying, because this is a very important topic. So it got to the point where I had been issued 2 notices to appear in court. We had visits from AHS, the RCMP, all the time, almost daily. They were harassing the hell out of us. They were trying everything they could do to force me to close. And I said, no, I'm not closing. Go ahead and do what you got to do. If you got to throw me in jail or fine me, do it. But I'm not closing until you guys justify what you're doing and prove that it's necessary. Well, they never did. They could never justify what they were doing. They didn't have the data. They said they did. They didn't have the science to back it. And I'm sorry, but science is not the media telling you that this is what you have to do. Science is science. Statistics are statistics. Annual mortality rates across Canada, that tells the entire story. And at that time, and still at this time, the numbers hadn't changed from the 5-year rolling average. Look it up yourself if you want. If you want to report me to Facebook for spreading false information and try and get my video deleted again, you best go and do the research before you do it, because what I'm telling you is the absolute truth. Yes, there was a difference in numbers, but the amount of people that died differently from last year and this year to years before was almost insignificant. And I've debated numerous people on that. In the end, AHS went to the court without me being represented, and they got an injunction against me, and they had the judge order me to close my business. So now I'm faced with a choice. Do I close my business and not go to jail and not stand for what I believe in? Or do I stay open, go to jail, and see where the chips fall? I didn't know if I was going to lose my business, lose my home, whatever. I stayed open. Shortly thereafter, AHS came out with some new rules, or pardon me, Hinshaw came out with some new rules because there were a bunch of us restaurants standing up and doing this. And at that time, I think they knew they couldn't control us yet. So they resumed dine-in services with some restrictions, which we followed. And if you go back and look at my videos, we wore masks. We had sanitizer on the tables. We had our dining room capacity reduced. We followed all the rules, except for being open. So there's another question answered. Why do I think that I don't have to follow any of the public health orders or rules? I absolutely do. And I do it because, number one, it's the right thing to do. Number two, it's good for business. I don't want people getting sick in my restaurant. I don't want people getting food poisoning. I don't want people going to the lavatory in my place and it's dirty. I don't want that. That's bad business. We want to follow those rules because they're good rules. But closing your business and letting it be destroyed for no reason is not good business, and I was never going to do it. So the restrictions were lifted. All's well that ends well, right? Well, no, because they did it again. We knew what was going to happen. We tried to prepare for it by getting our pizza up and going again, doing more takeout stuff, doing more drive-in movies, things like that to change our revenue stream. But none of those things really worked to the point where we could survive without being open. So they locked us down again, and I stayed open. And they were really, really upset with me. The cops were there. AHS was there. OHNS was there. Everybody was there all the time. The media was there. Another quick little side note. Please do yourself a favor and go back through my lives. And actually, this is on my YouTube channel as well. My YouTube channel is Whistle Stop Cafe, Chris Scott. I did a side-by-side comparison of an interview I did with Global News from Edmonton and what they ran as the story after my interview. And if you want to see how the media tries to manipulate you as the viewer, watch those two. If you hate me, watch it as an opportunity to laugh at me. But you're going to notice, you're going to see what they did. It was absolute garbage. And I called them out on it, and of course, no apology, no retraction, nothing, because it's Global News and they can do whatever they want. But there's people paying attention. What they're telling you on the news, it's a half-truth. Pardon me, it's not always like this. Sometimes it's a half-truth mixed with a bunch of drama to get you to watch them and to get an emotional reaction so you keep watching them. And we've seen that year over year over year. It's never stopped. They're in the business of getting you to watch their content. So whatever they can do to make that happen, they're going to do it. Anyway, so before the lockdowns in the spring, Rebel News had actually picked up my story, and they were helping me fight. They got me a lawyer through fightthefines.com. They were there covering the story all the time. They got the story out, and it went out all over the globe. We got messages from everywhere. A little cafe in the middle of nowhere was getting messages from Australia and Ireland, from Russia. I had a Russian news outlet interviewed me and did a story there. And they actually said that they hadn't seen this kind of oppression since Soviet-era Russia. Well, what does that tell you? When the Russians are telling us that Canada is oppressive, there's a problem. Anyway, AHS was pulling out all the stops this time. They kind of had egg on their face because I won the last round. And this time they're not backing down. So they ended up going to a judge and telling the judge that they weren't aware that I had a lawyer. And they knew I had a lawyer. They had actually emailed with him the day before. And they got an injunction against me that said that I couldn't organize, promote, participate in, or basically have anything to do with any illegal gatherings. So now I'm up against the wall again. So what do I do? I'll get to that in a minute. let's back up a little bit. So throughout this thing, I started off with the majority of people following my story supporting, and it slowly staggered off to probably, I would say, 75-80% supportive, and kind of that 20-25% didn't like what I was doing, thought that I should just follow the rules, and why can't I be like everyone else, and blah 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 blah. And they started phoning. They were phoning all the regulatory authorities on me. They were harassing my friends, my family. They were harassing the landowner that I was buying the property from. Now, at this point, when this stuff started, I was about just under 2 years into my original 3-year contract. And AHS went so far as to send their lawyers to the property owner's place, and they told her, with the police, and they told her that if she didn't evict me or make me stop what I was doing, that they were going to throw her in jail. I know, it's ridiculous. I would have told him to get stuffed, but it scared her, and I can't fault her for that. So I was handed an eviction notice. And the eviction notice was for 5 days. Now, I don't know if you're aware of how it works when you're leasing a business and a property like that, but when you get evicted, you don't just get a chance to move out and take all your stuff with you. When you're evicted out of a lease, everything in those walls is gone. All my inventory, all my fuel, all my groceries, all my kitchen equipment, everything I'd put into that place would have been seized and taken back. So at this point, now I need to contact a lawyer. I did. Actually, he walked into my cafe one day and he shook my hand, and he told me how much he supported what I was doing and how proud of us he was. And he said, if you need anything, please to phone him. And this was like 4 days prior. So then I get an eviction notice and I need a lawyer, and this guy had just walked in my door. So I phoned him and we went through this contract together. Oh shoot, I need to back up to one of the most important parts, because the biggest focal point for a lot of the people that hate on me right now is money. So when I was handed that 5-day eviction notice, I was faced with two options: either buy the place or lose everything. And if I lose that place, I would lose my home. That's just the way it is. I leveraged my house to start that. And people had been telling me, actually right from the beginning, right from January, to start a GoFundMe. Why don't you fundraise? You could just buy this place, pay this place off. And I said no. I said no for months, because I didn't want to sully the movement with anything to do with money. Because there's a lot of people out there that you can reach, but if they think you're getting something and they're not getting something, or they think that your whole intention was just for money, you can't get your message across to them. And that's the last thing I wanted. I wanted to get this province to the point where they were worked up and were ready to work together and push back against this and make them stop. So I didn't fundraise in the beginning. So this eviction notice comes in, says 5 days. So now I got to come up with $300,000 and change in 5 days. Otherwise, I'm evicted. And that was the conversation I had with the property owner. So fast forward again. I get talking with my lawyer. We're going over the contract. And I realized from him that I actually didn't default on the lease to a point where I could be evicted. It wasn't a lawful eviction. So I could, now I had some time. But once this happened, now the relationship between me and the seller was of course strained. It got to the point where we couldn't communicate effectively and we had to do it through lawyers. Just 1 second, I'm going to see if I can turn on the light here. That's why I meant to do this earlier. So our relationship was strained to the point where we had to communicate through lawyers. We had already started fundraising at this point. In the first 3 or 4 days, we raised like $70,000. It was insane. And during this fundraising, I wanted to do everything I could to not sully the movement with anything to do with money. So what I offered was, if you were going to or had donated anything to us to buy the property so that we could take that mechanism AHS was using to make a stop away, which was my landlord. I'm the landlord. They're not gonna phase me. Whatever you donated, if you wanted to, once we were done purchasing the property and I was in a position to do so with the business, we were going to pay back $2,000 a month to whatever charity that those people had asked to pay back to. Now, in a perfect world, we would have raised the entire amount. I would have cut a check, and we would have immediately started paying, kind of like the same as a rent payment or a mortgage payment, but we would have been making that payment to a charity. Well, that never happened, and there's a few reasons why. The first reason is once we got into some legal kind of finagling and stuff like that with the seller, I couldn't post much because I didn't want to give the court the impression that I was trying to sway public interest or whatever to change the outcome of whatever our negotiations were. So there was a period where I didn't do any promoting or anything to raise some more cash. So that hurt. The other thing is some of these groups that are pro-lockdown, they want to see everybody with nothing and happy, and they want everybody to have the same outcome in life, not opportunity. They got organized. Reddit, Twitter, even some Facebook pages, they went to war. We were under denial of service email attacks in our donations email, in my personal email, in the Whistle Stop email. I got thousands of emails a day because I was signed up for all sorts of things that had nothing to do with me, because that's what these groups did. They went on Reddit and they said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take down this guy's email. We're going to tell everyone that he's a thief and a liar so they won't donate to him, so he just follows the restrictions and loses his business. And they're very good at it. They did a good job. At the end of the day, we still raised, at last count, it was $163,000 plus some cash. I think it was maybe $4,000 or $6,000 cash, something like that. And I had actually hired a person to go through all of the donations emails, go through the bank account, and log who wanted what donated to charity and which charity, because it was just too much of a task for me. There was thousands of emails. So that was done. Last tally was $163,000. I'm sure there's a little more then. So what I did is I went to the property owner and I said, look, I can come up with about $180,000. I can give you this. Will you will you mortgage me on the balance? And she agreed. So she wrote a mortgage. We did the property transfer. I gave her the $180,000, which also included money out of my own accounts, money that was operating capital for the restaurant, and some money that was set aside to get our food bus going. So it basically left me with close to nothing. But we had the property. We had the title in our hand, and we could keep fighting. I also went to jail. You guys all know that. The restaurant was locked up for 6 weeks. It was robbed. And no, we didn't stage a robbery. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. A first-year insurance claim for a business like mine would likely mean that I wouldn't be able to reinsure in the future. It's not... That idea that we staged a robbery where somebody stole all our cigarettes is ridiculous. So no, we did not do that. But yes, we did get robbed. And yes, it was because our front gate was not locked up properly when AHS took control of my property. There's a gate that was installed a few years back because the place has been robbed numerous times, and since then it hasn't. So the gate works when it's locked properly. So there were a lot of setbacks, but here we are. We're still going. We're still doing what we said we're going to do. We obviously can't start paying $2,000 a month to different charities right now because we didn't raise the entire amount. We still have a payment, which, by the way, is over 3 years. So any of you are here thinking, oh, if your mortgage is only that much, and you pay it over 30 years, then you have lots of money. Well, I'm sorry, but it's 3 years. We have 3 years to pay it. It's a big friggin' payment. Now, the nice thing about that is it's only another 33 months before we can start paying it forward like we had intended to in the first place. Which, by the way, I didn't have to do. I didn't have to offer to do that. I did that of my own accord. And I didn't do it because I thought it would get more donations. I did it because I wanted to do something to mitigate the response people were going to have about money. I didn't want people to think that I was all about money. So I don't know if that effectively answers some of the questions that you guys have had, but yes, my intention is still to make donations to charity as if I'm paying rent or a mortgage payment or whatever once the property's paid off. We simply do not have the money or the revenue right now to pay a couple of $1,000 extra a month on top of making a payment on the last half of the property over 3 years. It just can't happen. And no, Elizabeth K., I do not go to the casino and gamble all the money that was donated to me. The money that was donated to me and the whistle stop was used to purchase the whistle stop. And that is evident in the fact that I own the whistle stop. If you do a title transfer on this property and all the surrounding properties, it's in my name. I paid for it using the money that was donated. Now, I would also like to point out that there were a lot of people who said, why would you buy the place? Just take the money and start over. But you guys didn't give me that money so that I could go buy a boat and sail around and be free of all this. You guys gave me that money so that I could stand up and push forward and do what maybe some of you can't do. So that's what I did. If I hadn't, I would be in a much better financial situation right now. I'd have a full bank account. I wouldn't have to worry about getting up at 5:30 in the morning to go open a restaurant. I could just do whatever I wanted, but I didn't. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I bought the whistle stop. I kept going right to jail, and I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I have no contractual obligation to do that. What I do have is the word that I've given all those people who donated, and the word that I gave to the people of Alberta that I will pay it forward when I can. And if that's not good enough, I don't really know what else to say. If you don't understand or you don't agree with me, as far as I'm concerned, that's your problem. It's not mine. I will do what I'm going to do. I'll do what I said I was going to do. And if you don't like it, tough luck. Scroll on, change the channel, find something else to do, find somebody else to talk to. It really doesn't bother me. So, I think that's all. Oh, I'm going to answer one more question. Yes, I do go to the casino. I love going to the casino. It's really fun because I know my limit and I play within it. I don't go to the casino and blow $2,000 or $3,000 that I don't have. I go to the casino and I play with my tip money, penny machines, stuff like that. I spend less money going to a casino than people go or pay going to a hockey game or a football game or maybe going on a weekend away with their wife or their girlfriend. I don't do any of that stuff right now. We go to the casino every now and then. We have supper and we play the slot machines for a little bit, and usually we go home with the same amount of money we went with. So, no, I'm not gambling the money away, and that, again, is evident by the fact that I own the Whistle Stop Cafe and the property. So, I don't even know what to say about that. I hope that answers your question, Elizabeth. I know you're really paying attention to what I'm doing over here, and you have a lot to say, but I'm sorry, your assumptions and your opinions, facts do not care about your opinions and your assumptions. So that's it. Anyway, I said I was going to keep this one short and sweet, and I'm going to stay true to that this time. But I think it's going to have to be tomorrow now because it's getting a little late. Tomorrow I will be doing another live stream. I'm going to go over some of the stuff that was said in the, if you remember, I did that live stream where the clock was behind me, and I said, this forced vaccinations in the workplace thing is a load of crap, and we need to rise up, and we need to cooperate. We need to get past our differences, if not for each other, but for us. All you restaurant owners out there who agree with what they're doing, or pardon me, who agree that these people, the companies should be allowed to force their employees to get vaccinated or fire them. One day, AHS will come for you and they will tell you that you have to take this vaccine if you want to stay in the hospitality industry. They're going to come for me. They're going to come for you. It's not going to stop until we start cooperating, getting past our differences, and working to for a common goal, which is standing up for our individual rights and freedoms as individuals and as a group. Because as a group, We're stronger together. I said it at the start, and I'll say it again. We're stronger together. And I proved that when I took away AHS's weapon they were using, bullying our landlord. It wasn't just me they were fighting. It was every single one of you who believe in what we're doing. It was every single one of you who made donations and supported us and helped us out. We fought that together and we won. And if we do it again, if we cooperate, we're going to win again. So, stay tuned. I'll get the next live stream up as soon as I can, and I will do it before it gets dark this time. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.